nice to see such a full room after a very long trip. Today, I'm going to be talking about some ideas about how to design games, right? What kind of aesthetic model might one have to use to design games? And these are ideas that I developed in coordination with a friend of mine, Mark Ten Bosch, and I'll take a minute to explain who we are. I'm an independent game developer. I've been a professional game developer for 16 years. I've been independent most of that time. I'm most widely known for this game, Braid, but I've done a number of other crazy things in my game career. Mark is the developer. Oh, actually, this is a game I'm working on now. It's not out yet. It's called The Witness, and I'm going to say more about it later in the presentation. Is it actually possible to get the lights lower or more contrast on the projector? I worry that it's not going to show up well enough. Anyway, Mark's game, which he's developing now, is called EVA. It's a puzzle platformer that takes place in a four-dimensional space. And you navigate around these four dimensions and you solve puzzles. And so it's really a very experimental and forward-thinking game. Yeah, this isn't going to work till we either get the projector brighter or... Yeah. You really would not see anything. Yeah, well, I guess we're going to see if we can see anything. So what you cannot see on the screen is a video of the game Portal 2. There's a bunch of gray hallways. Anyway, okay, this is better. So this is a game where you can create doorways connecting points in space, right? So I have a blue portal, which I can shoot, and I have an orange portal, and once I've done this, I've connected these 2 points in space. And in this game, this level introduces a new thing called a light bridge, which is that blue stripe. And I can stand on the light bridge, and it can go through portals. So now that I've opened this doorway with this orange portal, I can jump down and stand on the light bridge. Now, as the player, suppose I want to get into this dark area over here to my right. How am I going to do that? I certainly can't jump off and walk there because I'll fall to my death. So what do? Well, looking to the left, in dark gray on the left here, you see this wall. And I know that I can make a portal come out of that wall. And I know that if I put my orange portal there, the bridge will come out of the wall and it will take me where I want to go. The only problem is that once I do that, this orange portal on the right will disappear. And since it disappears, the bridge I'm standing on will disappear and I will begin to fall to my death. But if I'm a good puzzle solver, I will realize that there is a point at which I can create this bridge that will pass under me. And so that when I fall, I will fall off the old bridge onto the new bridge. Just like this. And now that I've learned this as a player, I can execute this tactic again and again to get around corners and further into this dark area. So that's pretty interesting. Here's another game. This is an independent game called VVV by Terry Kavanaugh. And those of you who were in Danielle's presentation earlier saw a lot of this game, but you will see some more now. We didn't turn the audio off on this laptop, so it's going to be annoyingly bleeding. Anyway, so in this game, you can't really jump, but you can control the gravity that affects your character. You can flip it upside down. And with this ability, you can do some things that you might do with jumping, like dodge spikes. But normally through the game, you cannot flip like this unless you're standing on a solid surface. That's part of what makes it challenging. But in this particular level, a new thing is introduced, this line along the bottom here above the spikes, and it's going to bounce me as soon as I touch it. Right? So now all of a sudden I don't have to be standing on a solid surface to bounce. I can also bounce anytime I intersect these lines. So here he'll bounce off it and land on this platform upside down. And now he'll proceed to use this to do a few action puzzles that are different in character from the ones that it could have done before. And then you start seeing more complex constructs happen using these lines. So here, it's perhaps a little bit difficult to see, but this bottom bright line of this platform is mirrored on the top. So there's a very thin platform here, and all of a sudden I can do something I wouldn't have been able to do in the game before, which is start on one side of the platform and somehow jump all the way around, right? 180 degrees and land on the other side. Previous to this bounce line showing up, that was impossible. And how does this work? Well, I dive toward the spikes where I would surely die, but I navigate myself across this line and it flips me upside down, where I would die again if there was not another line, right? So now we've taken the behavior of a line by itself, and by using it twice in reciprocal ways, we've sort of given a new power to the player, or we've produced a new navigation construct that the player can get skilled at. And once I become good at this, I can do it as much as I want. Here's a slightly more involved version with 3 sides, where you go all the way around a circle. And that's pretty cool. And, you know, if you play through this game, there's all kinds of crazy situations involving these lines. And they're all pretty neat. Oh, come on. All right. Okay, so in this talk, I am making the case that these are not just interesting little pieces of gameplay. They are nuggets of truth that the designers of these games have found and packaged for the player to experience by building a game design. And I'll try to say a little bit about what I mean by nuggets of truth. So, what I'm here to say today is one way, and I'm not trying to say the only way to design games, right, or the only way to make good games, but here's a way to make interesting games. Is by taking, as a designer, the goal of finding nuggets of truth and mining them, right, as if you're a gold miner, packaging that truth for the player. And the truths that I'm going to talk about have something to do with beauty as well. And the style of truth that I'm talking about has a lot in common with mathematical truth, the truth that mathematicians explore for a living. And by mathematics, I don't really mean what we all learned in grade school about doing calculations, you know, adding and multiplying numbers. That's one tiny corner of mathematics. But what mathematicians really do, good ones, is they start by asking or presupposing a series of ideas. Okay, if these things are true, for example, Euclid's postulates, then what follows from that, right? What is true if these things are true, and can we prove that, right? That's what mathematics is. And there's this idea of beauty, which is that if you can find a very short theoretical statement that is precise and has deep consequences, and especially if they're surprising consequences, that is considered to be very beautiful. And there's very little argument about this. It's surprising how universal among mathematicians the aesthetic of beauty is. So you can do a number of things with mathematics. You can use them to model the world, like I'm going to shoot a projectile and I want to know where it goes. But it can also stand on its own. You can develop a branch of mathematics and have these mathematical objects that are appreciable just because they're so beautiful and interesting and surprising. And so, down at the bottom of the screen, there's a screenshot